Greetings and welcome back to the Star Wars show that is about everything, anything and all things Star Wars. This is State of the Galaxy episode number 13.
For centuries, Alderaan stood as a beacon of hope in the Republic. The Empire came.
I have chosen to test this station's destructive power on your home planet of Alderaan.
Peace while you suffer. The Emperor drowns you in black waters.
He wants me to be Darth Revan again. Serve him as I did centuries ago. He made me a Sith Lord and named me Darth Revan.
The Force does not control you. You saved your Guardian using something you thought was important. But your motives are still aligned with the Jedi Code.
To arms, men! Defend the throne!
Anakin Skywalker was weak. I destroyed him. He was weak and foolish, like his father. So I destroyed him.
Master Windu, you have fought gallantly. Worthy of recognition in the archives of the Jedi. It is finished.
To them it is.
I have been waiting for you. Is it true that he is the chosen one?
Hey guys, and welcome back. Episode 13. No cheers?
No cheers.
Oh man. Suck.
What, take the numbers?
But so, I'm joined today by...
It's me again. How's it going?
Say your name.
Yeah, you got to say the names to the guy for this.
Why? I've never done it before.
Yes, you have. You do it all the time.
Have I?
Yeah.
Harrison.
Hello.
Eleanor.
Hello.
Right. Armitage.
What?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Armitage.
Okay.
Do you know? Do you know who this is?
Best character in Star
Best
Wars.
character ever. I mean, come on. He's a new character. He's cool.
Yeah.
Armitage. Armitage.
Fill us in. It sounds like you
Armitage.
said on its age.
Armitage. I mean, you know, he definitely lands on his arm. Probably. I guess thrown around a bit. You feeling it? No.
Yeah,
no?
I'm going to Google it.
No. I want you to guess from the guess. Stop it! I want you to guess from the things I'm telling you. Stop typing.
Oh,
You already know.
yeah. Hux's first name.
Yeah. Isn't it dumb?
It's crap.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm Armitage Hux. Welcome to horror.
Why are we immediately
Get
Irish?
him, a space trap.
But yeah, he's Armitage Hux. We found out today. How did we find that out? Visual encyclopedia. We found out from, didn't we?
Yeah.
Because we found out the people who established the First Order Armed Forces was Hux's dad.
He does not look like an Armitage.
And guess who killed Hux's dad?
Obi-Wan Kenobi?
No, Phasma.
Oh, awesome.
Phasma had a kill.
Good Phasma. You can
First
hit
registered kill.
something. You know what they say? Stormtroopers do hit some things.
They do, yeah.
Mainly stationary objects.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
massive targets.
maybe he was asleep.
Mm.
You know, fell on her gun and she just happened to sneeze. Oh, I didn't mean to do that, but I did mean to do that. So, I bought today the Captain Phasma Marvel comic first volume.
So green.
I know, right? Don't worry, the art style isn't actually like that inside. But yeah, she it's a cool pen, isn't it? She all it depicts is her escaping Starkiller base. But something that she does which is quite cool, she before as the base is basically falling down around her, she doesn't really prioritize very well, but she goes to the one of the computer desks and goes for the records and finds the point of when she shuts down the shields when she's at gunpoint with Finn, Han and Chewie, and actually erases that file.
Oh.
But then she realises that because there's been some time between her deactivating the shields, falling down the garbage chute and then getting back to where she was, there was probably someone else who logged on at that point, and she found that someone was, so she went after them. They escaped Starkiller base in a TIE fighter. She followed after them, but guess who was in the TIE fighter with her?
Hux?
No.
Kylo?
No. BB-9E.
Oh, would you have guessed it?
I mean, to be fair, I mean, I know you're not happy about that, but I am.
BB-9 looks pretty cool.
We barely see anything about him, despite the fact that he was in most of the promos for the Last Jedi.
Yeah.
But
It's good to have a dark equivalent of a good character.
because we haven't really had that since Goldie in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, like R6 isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. So it's nice that they're expanding on that, and now that we know that that Hux's dad was killed by Phasma, that puts a whole new kind of interesting dynamic on the two. I'm guessing that Hux was fine with it because Hux didn't seem annoyed at her at any point.
They co-conspired
Yeah.
to murder Brendel.
Just one more guy in the First Order, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's massive, like Nazi army sort of space thing.
pretty much.
And he trained all of the stormtroopers. He was the one that was responsible for their training regime
There you go.
in the First Order.
He did a bad job.
He did. Well, no, to be fair, he did a better job than whoever trained the original Empire.
Yeah, I mean, some of the Imperial recruits were trained by Commander Cody, so you think, oh yeah, he's got a long time of experience. No, not a very good job there, buddy.
Not a good job.
I mean, he was even ARC trained.
He was.
Advanced Recon trained. Rubbish.
Apparently, he gave them the basics of that.
It's like show up for one thing, you just get participation certificate,
Mm.
goes on the fridge, and you can do anything.
And you go into sanitary. So something that I wanted to bring up, and I still feel bad for not bringing it up last episode, was Eleanor. You've done a bit of. I'm sorry. You did a bit of research with, and you got the Leia book, and you've done a bit of research with Leia and her relationship with her adopted parents. So what did you find out?
Well, pretty much Bell and Breya are very neglectful parents, purely for the fact that they are working with the Resistance, and Breya is actually the brains of the operation, not Bale. And Bale is the leader of the Resistance base on Crate, which is how Leia knows to go there, because Dad had a base there.
Or adopted dad had a base there.
Adopted Dad.
Yeah.
Other Dad was, just cruising along, doing his own thing.
he bailed on her, you know.
Oh no, he didn't.
Oh, damn.
So that's pretty cool. So you're going in. That's pretty relevant stuff, seeing as we've got the Crate comic that's just started, and obviously it's following current affairs within the state of the galaxy, as it stands at the moment.
I knew you'd check that in eventually.
He said it. He said the name.
He said the name.
So something that I wanted to bring up today, and I think I brought it up in Nerdcast way back when, but was, dude, this is the chosen one. The true chosen one is Bubba Joe.
Baba Joe.
Okay then.
Bubba
Bubba
Joe.
Joe, yeah.
Do you remember which page that was on the visual dictionary?
Oh.
I'll have a flip through while we go. But
Yeah.
Bubba Joe was he was seen in.
Not the little kid with the broom, is he?
No.
That kid's got potential.
He does, yeah. I mean, he falls.
Swings that broom around
called
like a
a
master.
broom, so he's pretty much the chosen one.
Assemble the new council.
No. So Bubba Joe was seen in the Force Awakens Force for Change promotion with J.J. Abrams. He was also seen in the scene with Rey when she first goes up to. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. Whoever Simon Pegg's character is.
Oh, that weird thing that in
Yeah.
the deleted scene gets his arm ripped off.
Yeah. But you only see that in the deleted scene.
Yeah.
So you see him queuing up behind Rey. But the long and the short of it is that Bubba Joe.
What do you mean? This guy, true chosen one.
There we go,
Bubba Joe.
true chosen one right there.
Oh, wow, look at that backpack skill. That's mastery right there.
But apparently, in a small book called Star Wars Creatures, All Creatures Great and Small, which I need to get, he is telling a story to those little things that he has in a cave sitting around a campfire. And he says that they were all imprisoned aboard the first Death Star in one of the prison cells. He then commanded those creatures to crawl through the ventilation system and rewire the Death Star in such a way that it ever fired, it would blow up. And what was it about to do before it blew up?
Fire.
There we go.
You'll make fire when ready.
When ready. So
Luke didn't do nothing.
Luke did nothing. It was Bubba
Yeah,
Joe.
Luke only piloted the X-wing. Like everyone can do that. You know?
Yeah. So
Obviously, Bubba Joe. Not all heroes wear capes.
no.
Somewhere
Bubba,
backpacks.
somewhere backpacked full of
Yeah.
tiny birds.
Yeah, I got a backpack full of snakes.
Yeah.
Oh, it had to be snakes.
Ah, snakes. But yeah, so I'm not saying that's that canon at all. It's just a nice little thing.
So he didn't do the whole. It's stardust. I've lit a fuse in the bomb.
Yeah, but all of that didn't matter because
No.
it was Bubba Joe. aboard the first Death Star rewiring stuff. But then it does beg the question how he got out of the prison cell in the first place. But you know, it was just a story that he probably made up.
Snakes, you know, they go damn little.
There you go. So, is there anything that you wanted to personally explore with Star Wars at the moment?
Was Anakin Skywalker doomed to fall to the dark side? He seems to
What, from the very beginning?
Yeah, he seemed to get darker and darker urges
Mm.
as time went on.
Yeah, but he was only getting those because of the exposure to certain situations, and because of his the way that he was treated by the Jedi Council. He always felt like he was an outcast.
I mean, he spent a lot of time with the Chancellor. Was he slowly corrupted by the dark side?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, all his force things work in invisible ways.
Because the Chancellor acted almost like a grandfather or an uncle
Yeah, he
figure.
picked a sort of father type role to him.
Yeah.
Remember what we talked about? He obviously told him about the Sand People.
Mm.
So maybe he was more encouraged to act in such an extreme manner.
But in a subtle way, because
Yeah.
it still depicts that Anakin made that decision upon his own accord. It
I
wasn't
mean-
Sidious standing around a crystal ball going, "Yeah."
When he goes in the council chamber and kills them younglings, I think personally that was more of a choice. He didn't have to go to the council chamber. He knew there wouldn't be any Master Jedi there because he knew where they were, being in said council, and not be a master. How outrageous! But yeah, he was there, you know. So maybe he knew. Oh, there's the next generation of Jedi hiding in this temple room. I'll go finish him off.
Yeah, I'll go
there's
and
a chance of resurrection.
I'll go and stop the resurgence of the Jedi before it starts.
I mean, he didn't do a very good job considering his son was a Jedi in the future, but who's to know that far ahead?
And Yoda did say we got to take them a place where the Sith can't sense their presence. Or that may be Obi-Wan who
Go
said it.
to the outer rim. that was Yoda. On the Tantive before he all disappears.
Let's take them to a home that Anakin's gone to.
Yeah, he wouldn't have looked there, would he?
No, you wouldn't.
It's like, you wouldn't expect someone to go to where you've already been. That should be an fortune cookie right there.
Yeah. It's better than some of the stuff I've got. But you also mentioned earlier today that you thought that Padme was doomed to die.
Yeah.
Well, from a film creator perspective, hell yeah, because she wasn't in the originals. So she had to go at some point, just like the entire cast of Rogue One pretty much had to.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have anyone survive Rogue One, can you? Really?
No, unless they're going off and retiring somewhere else, but then you'd ask why. So yeah, and I think this is something that Tom and I have discussed, or we think we've discussed after we watched episode 2, was that Anakin and Padme's relationship was just poison from the very start.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the love banter that they had, no one talks to each other like that. If
No,
you're
it's
actively
like,
in
I'm
love,
gonna play dead and make you think I've died.
now that I'm with you again, I'm in agony. The closer I get to you, the worse it gets. That's not.
That sounds really a strange way to have a relationship.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to be near you, so I'm going to say something creepy.
Yeah, or what Padme says in the Geonosian Arena, I've been dying a little bit each day since you came back into my life.
Yeah, again. Very poisonous sounding words.
Yeah, so I don't know whether they were doing that just to spoon feed to the kids, because we didn't. It seemed like that they were over foreshadowing, like, oh, the relationship was poisoned from the beginning.
They over foreshadowed it so people like us can discuss it in future podcasts.
I knew they'd cater for us one
thank
day.
you, George. Setting us up for the future.
Good guy, George.
Tell us about the rabbits, George.
God damn. But yeah, no, I guess she was.
I mean,
she was
you
destined
can't
to go.
really fight fate, considering his vision saw her during childbirth, and obviously you don't see the full extent.
No.
But he obviously did. You can't really fight fate.
No.
In the Star Wars universe, at least.
No, because it's destined to happen.
Eventually, she's gonna have to give birth anyway. Like, it's kind of a bit of a you can't beat that. So it's just and the whole he broke my heart. Well, he also seemed to break your spirit.
Yeah.
I think it's something to do with like self-fulfilling prophecy with both Anakin falling to the dark side and Padme dying.
Yeah.
In the way that because they've been told about this one who'll bring balance to the Force, they put that much pressure on him that maybe eventually that leads to his downfall. And with Anakin getting so paranoid about Padme dying, he may have unintentionally caused it with the Force choke.
He
just a little.
Kind of did bring balance though. At the end
He
of the day,
did.
there's 2 Jedi and 2 Sith. That's kind of balanced to me. That prophecy
fulfilled.
In a slightly less envisioned way of what the Jedi thought.
They did say balance to the Force as opposed to balance to the galaxy.
Yeah.
Slightly. Although you can argue that point up until you see that episode of the Clone Wars with the father, the son, and the daughter, because they then say that the Force also controls the amount of dark side within everyone in the galaxy, and if the dark side then is more so in that realm than it is the light side, then the dark all forces that ally with that will then be more powerful, and vice versa with the Jedi.
I mean, it's a kind of weird one because
it is.
He kind of did leave the Jedi in darkness, but from my point of view, he did bring balance to the Force.
And it was the same with Luke at the end of what was it? I don't know. At the end of Jedi. I mean, it depends if you're going by old lore that there was still Sith out there and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, in a kind of slightly expanded part of it, there was still some Jedi around. Like Shak Ti was around for a while.
Yeah, but now now in the new visual dictionary, what did it say for Shak Ti?
That she's presumed. Is it she?
Yeah, she. Yeah.
Presumed dead.
She's presumed dead.
That's the word.
Because she had 2 visual deaths, didn't she? She had the death by General Grievous in the deleted scenes of Episode 3, and then she had the death by Starkiller in the first Force Unleashed.
Kind of super Sarlacc pit.
Super Sarlacc pit, yeah, on Felucia.
Both kind of seem a bit of a sad end for that character.
Yeah, I mean, I love Shak Ti. She was and still is pretty much my favourite Jedi. Especially now with the expansion of the Clone Wars, that she acted more of a training general on Kamino, and just her general approach to most situations.
I mean, it's kind of like Aayla Secura. She was quite a cool general in Battlefront 2.
She was really good in
Getting
Battlefront 2.
shot to bits in the back is kind of horrible.
And
I mean, the fact they kept shooting as well.
Yeah, but they didn't expand on that in the Rise of the Empire campaign, where it's sort of like they were actively scared of her.
Yeah.
So they would have just kept on shooting at her just to make sure that she was dead.
He was the guy, the unnamed clone / stormtrooper, said something like he's glad they were wearing helmets because it was pretty hard to keep a straight face knowing they were eventually going to have to kill her. Which makes it seem like to a certain extent they knew what Order 66 was before it happened. Because no one was briefed on it. It's just like execute Order 66.
Yeah, but it was
like,
it was the chips that they had in Next, wasn't it?
So the cartoon says. For a film, I think it seems a bit like cop outs, but we've got chips.
But they had to explain it somehow.
Yeah, it's a rubbish way of explaining it, in my opinion. I think they should have gone more along the line of like psycho indoctrination.
Or what, linked by the dark side or something like that.
Where they're like either linked by the dark side or you can get like hyper indoctrinated, like sleep talk. And it sort of messes with your psyche, and then when you get a certain phrase, bam, you're sort of conditioned to do it.
Imagine how much more scary that would have made Sidious if they then suddenly suggested that the Empire and pretty much all of the Imperial officers and everything were under some kind of hypnosis from the Emperor at a certain level. It was almost like the Master in Doctor Who, where he didn't have to actively go out and take a pocket watch and do that. But he subtly drummed his message into humanity, and it'd be the same with the Emperor, with the Empire, and then.
So I just think
the Republic.
I've always thought since the Clone Wars episode explaining it, where Fives kind of gets that whole, oh yeah, I know what's going to happen, and he gets like subtly taken out.
Yeah.
I always sort of thought, did that clone who's shooting, was he conditioned with that chip to basically like cut all loose ends sort of thing?
Perhaps.
Because he didn't have to shoot.
No.
He wasn't reaching for a pistol, he was just like crazily ranting on about it, so it wasn't like, oh yeah, I've got to shoot him, because it was too soon. He barely had a gun in his hand, so...
No, fair enough. I've forgotten what I wanted to move on to. Oh yeah, okay. So there was something in episode 8, because now we can talk, we've probably said this in episode 12, that we can now freely talk about episode 8 for the most part.
Take that band-aid off the spoiler.
Exactly, yeah, no more spoiler casts.
At
least till Solo comes along. Yeah, so there was something that we got in, as far as I'm aware, for the first time in Star Wars, the whole of Star Wars, was the acknowledgement of a deity of some kind. And it's when Holdo says out to the fleet, obviously they can't hear her, but just says out to the fleet as they pass by, Godspeed. It's something that I haven't actively researched, but in a strange coincidence, some of the research that I have been doing for certain projects, it's shown possible links to that kind of idea. And one of them that I wanted to raise was a group of creatures known simply as the Star Weirds. Don't know if you know anything about Star Weirds. Star Weirds own...
Sound pretty weird.
They do. They are. Imagine Slender Man mixed with David Jones, Dementor.
Alright, okay, so they're like space squid ghosts so far.
And the only reason why I say David Jones is because they can phase through walls, like David Jones could through the bars of the prison. But yeah, so they only attacked pilots and crews of ships when they were either mending their ships or actually when they were travelling through hyperspace.
So they're kind of like space mermaids.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's actually quite cool that you say that, because the first thing that they do upon being spotted is letting out a very ear-piercing scream, which can lead to people dying or bleeding out from the ears. But if people survive that, then they have long black talons that they'll then tear people apart with.
So they're basically the depiction of mermaids.
Yeah.
So there's no water to drag people under.
Yeah, there's space itself. And
drown in space, an impossible feat.
they are apparently also extremely prejudiced to force sensitives, despite actually being force sensitive themselves.
I was going to ask, are they force sensitive?
They are force sensitive, yes.
That could explain the Davy Jones part of the ship, part of the crew type attitude.
Exactly. But yes, which I thought was a pretty cool thing. There's only one picture that exists of them out there at the moment. Foreshadow. But yeah.
Tell George Lucas.
Yeah.
Foreshadow them in.
But I thought they were pretty cool. I've always looked into the stranger side of Star Wars. Like you have Darth Nihilus, and then you have Abeloth, and now you have the Star Weirds.
These don't sound like they're some sort of godlike being, though.
But they have godlike traits. I mean, the only thing that they can be killed by is another force sensitive.
They've
Normal
got
weapons don't work on them.
A high amount of force sensitive and like some unique powers, but I don't know if that makes them automatically a god or a godlike being. Or just
what about demigod
unique.
then?
Maybe. I mean, it might make them an extremely unique being.
I mean, what about the spirits that you saw in the Yoda Chronicles? The ones that had almost like the theatre masks, where you had like a smiley one and a sad one, an angry one. They certainly look like they could have possessed some kind of deity.
There's a lot of things that people automatically think, oh wow, this is so mystical. It's a god. I don't personally. I don't feel like they are justified as being godlike beings. Because they don't sound like they have people to worship them. They just like silently kill people off alone in the dark. Doesn't sound goddish to me.
Yeah, but remember that we, as a species at the moment, as far as things like, and I don't really like to bring this into it because it's so controversial even today, things like Christianity and Buddhism. Sorry.
Buddhism.
Thank you. For the most part, their gods are peaceful and are portrayed as being loving and, for lack of a better word, good.
Yeah, they're not
but
level of
if you go back to Greek mythology and things like that, they were extremely vengeful. Gods often went out of their way to attack humans. I mean, for God's sake, Hades was a god. He didn't have a good vein in his body.
He left his dog to guard the underworld.
Exactly. So you don't necessarily have to have a god that's good.
No, you can have bad gods.
So
easily displayed in 40k as well.
And I imagine that if these space weirds were more prominent within the Star Wars universe, they would be told as things like story tales to young kids to scare them, almost like bedtime stories. Yeah, like bedtime stories, just to that like don't get stuck in halfway through hyperspace, or don't get stuck in space because the space weirds will get you. Or Star Wars, sorry. So yeah, I mean, I thought they were pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you could kind of justify them as a bit more of a sort of chaotic god type thing.
Yeah.
They don't do things to sustain people; they're actually taking them away.
I
mean, what's the purpose? It might be like feeding, or it might be like a.
It doesn't specify.
Soul siphoning, or
there's
like,
so little on them.
Yeah, they might think, oh, if I kill this person, it will enhance my force powers. Like, it's kind of how it's envisioned, isn't it? You get stronger by taking from more.
But then that's then suggesting that. Are you saying that all species can do that, or is it just?
Well, why not everyone?
Well, we've
equality.
We've never really seen that before.
No, but When you think
Oh no,
about,
saying that, we have. Because there was a species, I can't remember the name of the species, but they were kind of like the vampire equivalent where they were able to drain people.
I mean, when you think about Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader, he got a lot more powerful due to the amount of Jedi he killed. I don't know how it works. It's like you kill one Jedi, you get 10 points or something, but it's not like a sport, is it? But
No.
they seem to be collectively powerful, killing other Force sensitives.
Talking about Anakin Skywalker, with the newest Marvel comic of Darth Vader, guess who's back? Back again. No, not quite. Master Joe Costa. Do you know who this is? This is the elderly lady in the Jedi archives that pretty much tells Obi-Wan to go away.
Oh, the computer lady.
Yeah, computer lady. If it does not appear in our records, it does not exist. That
She
lady.
seems like she should have been at Hogwarts.
But
like
she,
some sort of librarian or something.
I'm guessing you remember from the Clone Wars that she was in fact a Jedi.
Yeah.
She comes back, and my God, does she come back in a badass way? She goes back to the archives when I think it's the Inquisitor and Vader are skulking around. I hope it's the Inquisitor. I know the Inquisitor's in one of the variants of the comic.
Well, there's a few Inquisitors, isn't there?
Yeah, but it's the Grand Inquisitor that's in this one.
The one with the weird sort of bowly red white head.
Yeah, like the creature
First,
that Obi-Wan meets on Utapau.
Could even be from Utapau, who knows?
Maybe. But yeah, so she goes back and she has a secret room that I think she was hiding in or had stuff hidden in during the Jedi Purge. And she goes in there and takes out a weapon that we've never seen before, and it's brilliant, as far as I'm aware.
Fill us in, come on. You live
Okay.
in here.
I know, right? I love doing this.
I'm
It's
gonna
like,
fall off
a
the
weapon
chair
we've
in a
never
minute.
seen before.
But,
It's badass.
full sex, come on, give us that.
No, very not. So
Lightsaber nunchucks.
no. So, and then Vader goes in there and destroys her personal robot and stuff like that, because the robot identifies him as Anakin Skywalker and stuff like that. But that's fine. But then when he then goes back into the library, he's then hit by a massive blast that he only partly deflects, and you see Joe Costa standing there with a giant, what looks like a partly biological sniper rifle, and she just says, "My turn." And the lightsaber, the rifle actually utilizes her lightsaber as the force of the focusing energy. So it
Right,
takes
so it uses like a
what
battery.
would have been the beam and then changes it into a massive blast, which is incredible. Obviously,
I feel like when you upload this podcast, you need to insert a picture of this.
yeah, this. I mean, I think it's an experimental prototype. So the weapon malfunctions, her saber burns out, almost like a David Tennant's Sonic, and she casts it to one side, and then brings out another quite unique saber, which is green, and it has a almost like a fencing guard. It has the curved metal for the handguard.
Basically, fencing guys.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. As she fights Vader, ultimately loses, but Vader doesn't kill her then. She's taken on board because there's still the clones around at this point. She's taken her on board one of the police, almost like the police surveillance drones, and she reveals to the clones that this is Anakin Skywalker, because obviously they don't know.
No.
There are very few that know about Anakin's true or Vader's true identity.
Here's a true question though.
Yeah.
It's puzzled me a lot since Revenge of the Sith.
Mm.
In the Jedi Temple during the Jedi Purge,
Yeah.
how did the clones not know to shoot Anakin? Other than the fact he led him in. There's a lot of clones there at the back that might not see
Yeah,
him.
fair. Maybe.
Generally,
I mean,
like,
maybe there was some clones that didn't get the. They
it's-
just blasted at anything with a
it's unsafe
saber.
to assume that's the only way they came in. Because it's a massive temple. With a lot
Yeah,
of ways out.
and they obviously there was some separation. They didn't just
Yeah.
go through it like a wave. They
I mean,
split out, fanned out, and
the whole design is kind of like a cross because of all the towers as well.
and there's no
Like-
a giant rock that goes through the center of it in the original schematic. That
Yeah,
was.
I mean there was before,
Mm.
and it's insinuated that there's a sort of cave system underneath, isn't there?
Yeah,
Like
so there's
forced
probably.
meditation caves,
I mean, the
so-
clones didn't, like I said, didn't go in one line.
So it's like it's unsafe to assume they didn't know who's on their side.
I mean, the film suggested that Anakin led them in. He killed a couple of Jedi, which you see in the hologram that Obi-Wan plays, and then he goes off to kill the younglings, and then that's
Yeah.
it. So maybe that is it.
Yeah,
He leads
maybe.
them in, splits off from them, and then they don't see him again.
He does jet off to Mustafar, doesn't he? Quickly.
He does, yeah. But anyway, going back to Joe Costa, so he then actually has to kill all of the clones on board, and Jocasta reveals the information that she was trying to keep from Vader. It's a chip that has all of the known Force sensitives, but very young.
That's good.
And obviously Vader's after it because this is in his mind probably is like, right, okay, we're going to go out and now finally eliminate the Jedi, cut the head off the Hydra. But she reveals to him, it's like, well, actually, this guy, the Emperor, he created you from the Jedi. He's going to do that with multiple others. So, what is your place after this grand plan is over? And Vader kind of, I love taking on characters, but Vader then sees this as him being, because he's always hated anyone having the opportunity to take his place, even with Luke. So he actually destroyed the chip. And didn't give it to the Emperor. And so when the Emperor asked him, he's like, "No, I didn't find out."
She never had it. I don't know.
Well, it's not that. He just said, "I didn't find out."
Yeah.
And it says that Jocasta's dead. You don't actually see Jocasta die, but you see the ship that they were on crash and burn.
See, this is kind of echoed in the old canon where the Emperor corrupts Jedi and makes a whole Shadow Guard type situation.
Yeah, because in the Clone Wars, you see that he has a facility on Mustafar where he's kidnapped Force-sensitive younglings. And he's planning to make that part of his. I don't know whether they're necessarily the Inquisitors at that point, but he's definitely planning to change them into some kind of.
If you're gonna do the whole Sith thing, you might as well go all out and have more than two.
Yeah, but look, that's raising again the point that I had for a shout out last episode. That was with Darth Plagueis, he was against the rule of two, but was Sidious against it necessarily. Was he?
I think so.
Okay.
Because he didn't kill Darth Vader for having an apprentice during Force Unleashed.
No, but he wasn't happy about it.
There's probably been more instances we don't yet know of. I mean, in one of the old canon, he tried to train stormtroopers to be partially Force sensitive. And
with actually backing up your theory, with the Vader comic that I've got upstairs, which I always bring now, I don't think you've had a look through, have you?
As long as it's not the one I gave you,
no.
No.
It shows that Sidious almost hired someone to train up, not necessarily Force sensitives, but they're biologically able to influence objects. So, like, if there's a door that's controlled by a computer, they can just go like that, and it will link them into the computer system, and they'll then be able to raise the door.
Kind of like cyborgs.
Yeah, but there's one that's Mon Calamari, and he is based off General Grievous.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which is pretty cool. I think he wields purple lightsabers, if memory serves. So it's cool that we get to see purple sabers again. We don't get to see those very often.
Yeah, I bet he had to sign that in the contract and go on about it.
Yeah.
I want a purple lightsaber, I'm not doing the part. Okay.
But yeah, so I was kind of sad to see that Jocasta went. I mean, I didn't like Jocasta after seeing her in just episode 2, but now that there's all this expansion stuff.
I feel like you need to do an in-character goodbye, just as her voice.
What, for Jocasta? Well, I'll do that as a video. I'll do that as an information video. But yeah, for now, goodbye, Jocasta. As far as we're aware, you are dead, but we don't know for sure. For surezies.
Star Wars seems to have a lot of people called Joe in it. In this episode, we talked about 2.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more than 2 Joes in the universe.
There probably is, yeah. But we should probably wrap up this episode because we're 31 minutes in. Was there anything else that we should cover?
Not that I can think of.
No. No? Okay. Well, in that case then, whether you are a Jedi or Sith, Republic or CIS, Empire or Rebel Scum.
Rebel!
Have I covered them all? Apart from Mandalorians?
We haven't covered Resistance.
Oh yeah, Resistance and First Order. I hope you all have a very good evening, day, or whatever time it is, wherever you are. May the Force be with you. You had an outro as well that you wanted to throw in, didn't you? Do it!
No,
do it! Do it!
No, you got to do it.
No, I don't even remember it.
I'll get it next time. It's okay.
No, do it.
It needs work.
I'll say it anyway.
Okay, there you go. But you got to say May the Force be with you at the end.
Okay. Damn it, you scrolled all the way up. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. Leave us a like or comment. May the Force be with you.
That's like take 1.
There we go. See? Take 1. Always the best. Yeah. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.